Hello and welcome to the Sun Racing preview of Day 2 of the York Ebor Festival in association with Betway. I'm joined by Chad Yeomans of Betway, Callum Jamieson and Jack Keene of Sun Racing, and I am Tom Bull to guide you through a wonderful day's racing featuring the big race of the day, which is the Yorkshire Oaks, and Enable, the heroine of the turf, returns once again after a sensational victory in the King George last time out. Chad, I'll come to you. She's bound to be a very short price.
She is indeed. She's a 7-2 on market leader at the moment. I mean, I don't think that's going to get any bigger. Magical is a 7-2 second favourite. Lati Dar is 14-1, and South Sea Pearl, the pacemaker, is 50-1. If you think the 7-2 on's quite short, we've gone 11-10 that she wins by 3 lengths or more.
I'd say that's a pretty good offer. Do you agree?
I mean, I wouldn't be getting involved in something like that personally myself, but it's all about Enable, this race. Yes. We've said before. I mean, at least Magical's there to give her a bit of a race, and it's not just a walk in the park. I wouldn't be backing anything this race. It's not a race to be betting in. You can sit back and enjoy this. I didn't back her in the King George, but I think that's the most I've sort of cheered on a horse this season. I think even when you weigh that up with the horses I've backed, so that just shows you how light she is as a horse. I mean, you just want her to win.
I mean, on strict form lines alone, Enable really should be winning this. I mean, she got the better of Crystal Ocean last time out, who himself got the better of Magical at Royal Ascot. Enable has already put Magical in her place once this season and did it in the Breeders' Cup turf last season. She really shouldn't be losing, should she?
I mean, Magical's had her chance, you think, in the Eclipse, catching Enable cold on that first run where she looked like she needed the run as well. As you said, Breeders' Cup and Royal Ascot form lines, it all makes sense.
It all adds up. So I think we're all in agreement, really. When one horse we should quickly mention is Lati Dar, who's 2 from 2 at York, won the Middleton earlier in the season and won the Goucher Stakes very impressively last year. I mean, on all known form, she's really got to step up here, obviously, but she deserves a mention considering it's John Gosden's second string. But I think, Enable all the way.
All the way,
I would say.
Yep.
Next up, it's the Lowther Stakes, the Group 2 sprint for fillies, where Liberty Beach heads the market after a sensationally impressive performance in the Molecombe Stakes last time out at Glorious Goodwood. She was well ahead of her rivals that day and looks going to be very hard to beat her. Taking her on is Under the Stars for James Tate, who won nicely in the Princess Margaret last time out on just her second start. Among others to be looking out are Wedge Dan for William Haggis and a smattering of others. I'm going to come to you, Chad, with the odds, please.
Yeah, Liberty Beach has been one of the best backed horses of the week, certainly of the day. 11-4 into 7-4 favourite. Under the Stars, convincing winner at Ascot. She's been back from 5s into 7-2. Wedge Dan, I mean, she's won on debut at Newbury, very greener than Bob Marley's tobacco tin. 11-2.
Oh, that one before.
Precious Moments is a 9-1 shot.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Callum, come to you first.
I can't really follow that up. But,
you got a big fancy in this?
To be honest, I'm all over Liberty Beach here. I still think she's a generous price. I mean, I don't think this is actually much harder than the Molecombe she faced last time. I mean, the trip's my only slight worry in terms of stepping up to 6 furlongs. Obviously, she's only run over 5 so far. My thinking, though, is that she wasn't that far away in the Queen Mary, which is obviously a stiff 5. It was quite soft ground there. This is an easier 6. I think she's come on a bit from there. I don't think 6 is her trip, but I think she'll get away with it here. And I mean, if they're talking Breeders' Cup, etc., along the line, she's going to have to win this and win this fairly cosily, you'd think.
Do you agree, Jack?
I am in agreement, yeah, absolutely. I think she is definitely the one to beat. I think she's just improved with each start. She's got so much speed. She's a real classy filly, this one. I mean, she was a tad unlucky at Ascot, raced on the wrong side of the track. And then she went to that stiff 5 at Sandown, bolted up, easier 5 at Goodwood, but she had the class and the speed to get herself out of a hole because it got a bit tight and a bit tricky for a while there. And it looked like
she won a lot cosier than that length.
Yeah, I mean, I think she was well on top of the line, one going away. I actually spoke to Jason Hart last week. He thinks 6 furlongs is going to be no issue to her. And she's potentially going to be, the top 2-year-old filly around. I mean, she wins this, she'll go to the Cheveley Park, Breeders' Cup. I mean, it's all in front of her. I think I'm pretty keen on her as well. I think she's going to take a hell of a lot of beating here, actually.
Absolutely brilliant, yeah. I mean, she's quite clear. I mean, on visual alone, I always think sprinters, especially at this young stage of their careers, if they do it really well visually, then they are going to be, a horse to follow. I mean, you've just got to look at the top sprinters who have ever taken to the turf, and they always take you, impressively. They always do something that kind of out of the ordinary, and she's done that so far, and she's still very young. So hopefully she can continue to do that. Let's have a quick chat about some of the others. Under the Stars, 25-1 shot last time, won the Princess Margaret. Only had 2 starts, surely more to come from her. Jack?
Yeah, I'd expect so. Obviously unbeaten after 2, won the Princess Margaret in good style. I'm always a bit wary when they finish in a bit of a heap. The first 4 or 5 were in a bit of a heap there, and it was pretty tacky, slow ground at Ascot, and there were a couple of fancy ones that underperformed, the likes of Summer Romance and whatnot. So a bit reserved about that form at the moment. I'm not 100% sure about it, but I mean, she's clearly a nice filly, and James Tate's having a good season. So I mean, she'll run well, but I still think
she's the right
she's
second
take a step
favourite.
forward.
Like I said, I think that like you said, I think that Ascot runs a bit iffy. Few underperform there, and the second's been well beat in France, albeit in a good race since.
I've never been totally convinced about that Princess Margaret. I mean, it looks like it's going to throw up a superstar or two, and it's never really proved to be that strong a race.
Yeah.
Like in recent years. So I mean, like she's clearly a smart filly, and you've got to respect her, but she's got to take a step forward here to beat the favourite.
Excellent. Any thoughts on Wedgdown? As you say, she was very, very green on her debut, but she did come with a right rattle towards the end of the race, and the fact that William Haggis is putting her into these deep waters so soon in her career suggests he thinks quite a lot of her, because he's got a few very good fillies.
I think some of the dangers could be the once race fillies in this, and she's the obvious one. Haggis, like we said, he doesn't have many first-time out winners. When they do win, you've got to take notice, and I think that newbie race is definitely above average as a maiden, and she's got a lot more to come.
And one other I'd like to quickly mention is Celtic Beauty. Price for that?
12 to 1.
12 to 1 Celtic Beauty. This filly finished second to Dyer in the Albany at Royal Ascot. Only just ran out of it by what looks a very exciting filly. And she won well last time out in a maiden. And I think there's bound to be more to come from her. But if we're going to choose a selection for that race, I assume you guys are going to go with the favourite.
Definitely Liberty Beach. I think this race is proven. Recent winners, they have normally got some group form going into here, so I think it's better to stick with a proven group performer. Yeah. So
all a bit boring, but yeah.
Liberty Beach all the way.
She's just that far clear at the moment of the other two.
She is, isn't she? Yeah. Liberty Beach for me too. I hope Wedgdown runs a good race, but I can't see her getting to the favourite. Next up, it's the Clipper Logistics Handicap, a wickedly competitive minefield of a race over a mile. Kinran heads the market here, having been very good fifth in the Royal Hunt Cup last time out. He's always up in the betting for these races, but never quite seems to get his head in front. However, punters do seem to have come from again. He's taking on a very, very competitive field with the likes of Firmament, who won at York on his penultimate start, Vale of Kent, who's recently won the Bunbury Cup, Baltic Baron, who was very unlucky at Glorious Goodwood last time out, and a smattering of others, including Seniority, Kesar, and Silver Line, who was a very impressive winner at Nottingham last time out and has been backed in too. Chad, let's talk through Kinran's price, because I know he has been very popular with the betting public.
As always, as you mentioned, he's always well supported. He's a 6 to 1 market leader with us at Betway. Unlucky in the Hunt Cup, I thought. He still comes with a late flourish, doesn't he? Ran very well in the Victoria Cup, beating a neck. Beaten less than 2 lengths by Auxerre in the Lincoln. Was beaten a neck in this last year, so come back for revenge. And punters will steam into this. I don't think the 6 to 1 will last.
Okay, lovely stuff. And what else have you got at the head of the market?
Vale of Kent is the second favourite at 9 to 1. Baltic Baron, I know, is fancied by quite a few people, is 10 to 1. Silver Line 10 to 1, and Seniority 11 to 1.
Okay, great. And moving on to you, Callum, you got a fancy in this?
I just can't have Kinran. I mean, he's about as unreliable as the trains that you get every morning. He's always favourite, and he never wins. So I don't get why people would go with him. I mean, each way backers, yeah, but he's too short for that anyway. I think Seniority is another one with a big shout. He'll be popular. Queen's Horse always is. Good connections. Ryan Moore's on board. I'm a bit gutted Blue Mist wasn't there. I was looking at this earlier in the week, and I thought this was perfect for him. A nice, easy mile. Roger Charlton form they're in. He's obviously not been declared. The one I like is Baltic Baron for David O'Mara. He's only 4-year-old. He's still lightly raced, still improving, I think, compared to a lot of these seasoned handicappers. He ran behind Irv, who's obviously stupidly well handicapped at the moment over course and distance a couple of starts ago. Before he's quite unlucky in that Hot Goodwood handicap Unibet mile. I just think this is tailor-made for him. He's only £2 higher, as I've said, than that last run over course and distance, and David O'Mara likes a winner at York as much as anyone else, so he's the one for me, and I think you're similar.
I promise me and Callum haven't been sharing notes this morning because we fancy all the same horses.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, it is a good sign. I mean, they're absolute certainties. I mean, we're
right,
right because we're as shrewd as they come, us two. But no, Baltic Baron, I actually tipped him up at Goodwood last time. I was tearing my hair out when the jockey had to stop riding just over a furlong out, which, I mean,
there's a few in there, isn't there?
Of course, at Goodwood, Golden Mile, big handicap, there's going to be hard luck stories, but he was a hard luck story. First time Visor seemed to work a trick for him there, so they've retained that, which I think is obviously a good move because he doesn't win that often, but I think he's got loads of ability. And like you said, that run behind Irv, he was giving him almost 2 stone that day. That was a really good run. He's drawn wide here, but it doesn't matter. He's going to be dropped in anyway. There'll be a strong pace for him. So I think everything's set up for a massive run from the Baron.
He's a smooth traveller in there. It's just perfect at York. I think he's the one.
Smooth as you like. He's only had 2 starts since he was gelded as well, I think. And he's only had 5 starts since joining O'Mara from France. So I mean, there's bound to be a bit more in this.
He's exactly the type that O'Mara does so well with. I mean, he's had so many similar kind of French recruits through his hands that he then improves and improves. So I think this lad fits that profile, and I think he's going to run a screamer.
Quite keen on him. What price is he? Sorry,
10 to 1.
10 to 1. I'll have a bit of that.
Fill your boots. Fill your bloody boots.
Lovely. Now, I'm going to put a little mention in for Silver Line, who absolutely romped home at Nottingham last time out. Now gets a £12 high mark, but Kieran Fallon, apprentice extraordinaire, takes off £5, which means he's only £7 higher. I think he's improved as a 5-year-old because that was after a long, hefty old break. Now we're going to have a quick chat about the rest of the card. I like Frosty in the Galtres Stakes, won so impressively last year by Lati Dar. This horse Frosty I really like for Aidan O'Brien. It's had only 3 starts. Looks like the step up in trip will really suit her. She's very unexposed, and I think she can go nicely in this race. Any other fancies for anyone else?
Very professionally done, Billy. I like 2 in the last 2 races actually. Search for a Song, I think Irish Raider coming over for Dermot Weld.
Yeah.
I think she'll be quite short, but I just think she'll be a good thing in this with Oisin Murphy booked. And then in the lucky last, I like William Haggis's Mubtasima. I just think she's absolutely miles ahead of the handicapper at the moment. It's a huge field. She'll need a bit of luck, but I think she could well win this as well.
Great stuff. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much indeed. And I think that concludes our preview of day 2.